Hey, it's me, Mr. Rift of Nostalgia once again, and I'm here with another episode of my Melee series. In this episode we'll be focusing on making an enemy that can attack us using animation trees. If you don't know how to use animation trees, I have a video about them. I'll link it in the description below. And we'll also be adding on-hit blood splatter effects using particles. All the project files needed for this video are included in the description below. If you like my work, you can support me on Ko-fi page. The current list of supporters is always visible on the screen at the start of my videos. More information about that at the end. We will start by giving our enemy a simple nose to know in which direction he is facing. Keep in mind that the negative Z is forward and positive Z is backwards. It's because in OpenGL the negative Z looks away from the camera and positive Z looks into the camera. So negative is forward. Let me now explain you how the enemy will know when the player is in front of him, so that he can swing a sword. An Area 3D allows you to send signals to scripts whenever something enters its zone, and that's exactly what we need. When the player enters the zone in front of the enemy, Area 3D will send a signal to the enemy script. Inside enemy script, we will receive this signal and tell the animation to play, and everything else happens the same as when the player swings a sword. Let's now do it in Godot. We add Area 3D to the enemy, we add collision that represents the zone in front of the enemy, and we place it where we want it. We also need to add a sword the same way like we have done for the player. And create an animation for the sword swing. Last thing before going to code is adding onBodyEntered signal from Area 3D to the enemy script, as well as making sure that the mask of our Area 3D is the same as the player layer, so that it can see him. In our Area 3D signal function, we want to check if the body that has entered it is the player. And if it is the player, we will swing a sword, so play an animation of sword swing. Let's now try it out in game. As you can see, the animation is playing correctly, but we have an issue. If we attack an enemy at the same time that he is attacking us, we activate his damage effect animation. And because animation player can play only one animation at a time, the animation of his attack is stopped. What we want to do to prevent this is use an animation tree instead of the animation player. The animation tree can play as many animations at the same time as you want. At first, let's create a brand new animation and call it idle. It will just show our enemy moving up and down. It will serve us as our core in the blend tree. Next step is to add an animation tree to our enemy and add a blend tree as the tree root, as well as selecting our animation player as a place where all of our animations are being stored. We add an idle animation and connect it to the output. And then we need two one-shots, one for the attack and one for the damage effect, as well as those two animations. And once again, if you don't know what I'm doing right now, I highly suggest you watch my animation tree video. We want to connect everything together and set up filters, so that the one-shot only affects the part we want. So attack animation only affects the sword, and damage effect only affects our enemy material. We can move to code once again. We want to replace the line that we have used before for the animation player with our animation tree code. We need to call the one-shot attack whenever the player is in front of us, and we need to call the one-shot damage effect when the enemy is hit. Copy the path of the request you want and place it in code. You use this line to call the one-shot animation. It should look like this. We also want our enemy to attack constantly when we are in the zone and not only when we enter it. So we can create a boolean variable that's called player in zone. That's true when the player enters inside of the area and false when the player is outside of it. We will use this variable inside the physics process to attack constantly whenever the player is inside of the area. So when the animation is stopped, it will just attack again over and over. We will also connect another signal from our RF3D to the enemy script that will inform it whenever a player leaves an area. And when he leaves it, we will set that variable to false. Okay, let's see how it plays out in the game. As you can see, now both animations can be playing at the same time. Animation trees are great. If you find this video useful, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. The enemy is attacking, but the player is not receiving any damage. You should know how to implement a health bar of the player, as well as the enemy dealing damage to the player. We learned that in the last episode. I will show you the recording of me doing it, but I would like you to do it on your own, because that's the best way to learn. You can now stop the video, do it on your own and check how I do it later. The answer will be on the screen in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now let's move to the blood splatter effect. We create a new 3D GPU particles scene. The first step is to create a particle process material. We will configure it later on. In the next tab called Draw Passes, in Pass 1, create new quad mesh. Change its size and add material for it. In shading mode, select Unshaded, so that no shadow is cast on our particles. Change the color to red, and in Billboard select Particles. It will make so our quad mesh is always facing the screen. Over here we want to change the amount of our particles that are being cast when the enemy is hit to like 50 or 60. We don't want the effect to be continuous, so let's select one shot. Explosiveness to 1, so that all the particles are emitted at the same time. Oh yeah, and make sure cast shadows is off, because we don't want our every single particle to be casting shadows. At the end, let's configure our particle process material. We want to change the spread in velocity tab to 30, so that it's less flat, and initial velocity to 2 minimum and 5 maximum. We also want to change the direction of the velocity to be up, so x should be 0, y 1 and z also 0. Let's change the scale of each particle to be a bit different. It will be varying from minimum 0.5 to maximum 1.5. And that's all for now. I highly suggest you to play with this node by yourself to better understand it. We now want to instantiate our particles at the player position whenever he is hit. Copy the scene to the enemy script while holding Ctrl. Add a new node 3D to the enemy scene and place it where you want the particles to be spawned. I will use the standard instantiation code to place the particles at the position of the node 3D, and last thing is to set emitting in particles to true. You can launch the game now and the effect should be working correctly. Let's add last touch at the end. I'll show you how to use decal node to paint floor with blood. In order to know where to spawn the blood paint, I will add a raycast 3D and aim it at the floor. Create a new decal, add a new texture to it, which is a country of France. Adjust the size and other parameters, and just instantiate it like particles in the position in which raycast hits the floor. See, we have a nice blood paint. And that's it for this video. I'll see you next time when we'll be covering state machines. The enemy will start moving. As always, please like, subscribe and leave a comment down below. You can support me on Ko-fi page. Here's the link. Have a great day. See ya!